My grandmother always used to say, keep weaving, as I was real small, because I would cry, I didn't want to be a weaver and all that. And she would say, keep weaving, because someday, you will travel the world and tell people about our work.
Yeah, because after I finished high school, I made an announcement to my family that I'm going to college. After college, I'm never going to weave again, because weaving was too hard. I didn't like to market. I didn't like to sell my rugs. It was just excruciating for me. And it wasn't until 1996 when we lost our older sister, Roseanne.
Our sister was the most talented one in the family. She was above all of us as a weaver.
I couldn't process the fact that we had lost a family member, a very important family member. And so I went to find an old loom that I had in my closet for many years. I took it out and I started using my sister's tools. Working that whole summer is how I process my grief.
So I retire, and within a couple of months, lo and behold, the company did hire a young woman. She's about 22 years old, and she is a marvelous, marvelous craftsperson. Not only that, she was tenacious in terms of wanting to work here.
Right after I graduated, I came in for the first time and said, "Hi, I'm graduating from Maine College of Art, and it would just be a dream for me to work here. Will you hire me?"
I said, "I'm not really sure, but we can see what we can do." And she handed me this CD, and I looked at it, and I'm going, wow, this girl is talented. So I took her resume and her CD, and I sent it to our corporate.
I got a call, and he said, "We're really intrigued that such a young woman would be interested in this, and we'd be really interested to meet you and talk and then see about hiring you." So that was in May. Even though they'd expressed a desire to meet me and interview me, nothing really came of that. So I would call every week. I was just so determined to work here. I really wanted to do this.
She was persistent, and they hired her. She came here already with a built-in love for this craft, whereas most of us, our affection for it grew over a period of time.
Well, I think there's such a rebirth of craft with people in my generation who are really interested in traditional ways of making things. The reason why I like this process is because it is so physical that you're using almost your whole body, almost like you're pouring all of your life energy into this one piece. It's sort of an intimate process too, just knowing the material, knowing how you're going to hit it, how it's going to react to your hammer blows.
Because, all woodworkers know you have to pay attention to grain, but there's the nature of the piece, and then there's my little will working on it. I don't want to exist in some kind of creative vacuum where it's just me and the piece and nothing else matters. So I do think about the viewer. I do try very hard to engage and spark their imagination, to have their eye look into the piece, to draw them in. The cultural context is tremendously important. And I'm leaving a little archive. It's a record of a time and a person, and a story that, frankly, isn't told that much by women in wood.
I couldn't imagine what kind of life I would lead as an artist. I just couldn't see it. So I went through a regular undergraduate program, liberal arts, but it wasn't until I graduated and I took an art class, I met some professional artists, and I thought, that's what I am. And so then I started art school and never looked back.
The Combat Paper Project was born back in 2007. We would invite the veteran population to come in and make paper from their uniforms. This is a way to honor it and give it a second life. But combat paper workshops were mostly male-dominated. Maybe like one woman a month would show up. Yeah, she actually emailed me. And so I thought I'd like to work with the women veterans, letting them tell their stories and then make it into a book project. And I knew I wanted it to be a paper doll book because to a lot of people, you know, a female soldier is such a foreign idea that I wanted something familiar. Everybody knows what a paper doll is.
I originally learned my craft from my grandmother. She was a dressmaker, and every time she would sew, she would actually have me sitting there, and I spent most of my time with my grandmother, and pretty much everything that I am today has a lot to do with what my grandmother taught me.